a bit, and I'll be in a car in 2 minutes. Uh, Firstly,
Okay.
I'd like to say that I really like that idea of the gathering. I was studying all the proposals, not just in DNA, but also the other part of your website. I was also listening to one of your podcasts or one of your talk with your colleague preparing the gathering. So I'm very familiar with the way how you think about the organization and mainly about that spirit of the gathering means everyone come with some intention, everyone come as a part, not just a visitor, but like a part of one bigger object. So this is very nice, and I'm really looking forward to talk more about it. And because it's me always visualizing potential ways how to do good things for a society, but also for us, means for organizations, because it is always very important for me to make a good, I'm not familiar with the word impact, but the good value or experience for our visitors. But also for me, it is very important to do a great place for our team members. I think that we are also very familiar or similar in this way. So, and that's for me the must that I know that we are getting the right people to work into our circle, and that we know that we want to work together for a long time, let's say. And this is something what I felt from different organizations which were involved in the gathering, because I saw them. Thanks for that option through the links you got on the website. So all of them are absolutely inspiring for us, and that's also a part what I want to talk with you a little bit about you, like yourself, what you are planning to do, because I also saw some post of one of your connection on LinkedIn talking about that maybe you will be interested to be a part of some new organization, like an to be a part of that. Was also what you are planning. So this is two main parts, and I just step into the car so we.
Sure. So let me answer that briefly. I always work on multiple projects, and well, maybe in a few years, the gathering will be big enough that it can support me and be my primary livelihood. That would be great, but it's not at that stage yet. So I always work on multiple projects, and one big project that I was working on finished last year. So now I have capacity, and yeah, I'm interested. I have, I guess, three directions that my work goes in. One is in the village building space. So
Mhm.
I'm looking for opportunities to mentor projects that are looking to build villages. I've been in this
Mhm.
space for 10 years and gone through different projects. And I'm focusing more and more on the CFO, the money, and the fundraising,
Mhm.
just because I see that as the key roadblock and
Mhm.
a
Mhm.
key, yeah, I mean, a key roadblock and a key thing that's stopping so many great projects from moving forward.
Mhm.
There is amazing people in regenerative design, in experience design, and the capacity is there to deliver amazing projects. I believe
Mhm.
that there is also a huge need and appetite, would millions of people move to regenerative villages? I don't know. But would tens or hundreds of thousands move? For sure.
Yeah.
Europe is 400 million people. Well, is there 40,000 people that would like to live in a regenerative village? Yes. 400,000, probably. 4 million, I don't know. But we don't even have a few thousand houses in regenerative villages in Europe that people could go to, right? So I have no doubt that the market is much bigger than what's being delivered now. And the limitation is financing and money. So that's one thing I'm working on, is the village building. The other thing is around designing next generation events. So through the experience of the gathering, and I would love to work with other event organizers that are looking at bringing in action, co-created, action-focused energy into their events to support them in that. And then of course, I've been working in remote work, so remote work startups. I mentor remote first startups regularly. There is a whole list of things that come together to make an effective remote startup. And this is actually a key thing also that I bring to the gathering. The interesting thing, these days, there isn't such a thing as a local only company. Right? Yeah. Even if you're running a cafe, you still need an Instagram account, right? Something, you have something online. So it's really impossible. So rather than resisting it, and similarly, I think even online businesses are also realizing that we're actually physical beings and that it makes sense for us to get together in person. I remember I was surprised, but then I went, this is genius. When I was living in London, and Match.com, the online dating site, was running advertisements for physical meetups. Because they realized if you're trying to connect people, you need online and offline. And this is also something that we're really exploring with the gathering. I mean, we've done some, there is much more work to do. And I think this is a big challenge for all events, or all physical events, is to figure out what the hell they're doing online, right? Because there is a huge opportunity to do to build initial connection and warm up the field before we come together in person, so we can have a much richer experience when we are together in person. Right? And then how do we do follow-up? And this is especially important when the goal of the event is to generate connections for action, right? How do we follow up that? We developed with limited success with it, but we developed an app for Connect for Action to try and support that. So this is these are the areas that I'm working in. And then there's, of course, ecosystem building, ecosystem weaving. So I am very much dedicated to the gathering. And I also very much need paid work at the side to enable me to work on the gathering. But it's very much connected. So
connected, exactly.
To connect to link this back to what I wanted to discuss today, to take you through today, is this is the first part of what the gathering is. It's a big experiment in reinventing how we gather for our times. Right? And for our times means the internet exists. Do you know, have you heard of Alexander Humboldt?
No.
He was a German naturalist in the 19th century. He's
Uh-huh.
been kind of lost from the history. I read an amazing book called The Invention of Nature, which I really
Mm-hmm.
recommend. And he
Mm-hmm.
was a genius. You know, systemic thinking, he was on
Mm-hmm.
it. We lost it for 100 or more years, and now we're reinventing it. He was talking about it in 1870 something.
Mm-hmm.
I really love him because he's got the same birthday as me, so I feel
Perfect.
special. But he was the inspiration for Darwin. Darwin had
Mm-hmm.
one of
Okay.
his books when he went on his famous voyage, and
Mm-hmm.
many other naturalists. So, and in 18, no, it was in 20 in 28, it will be the 200-year anniversary. In 1828, I think, he
Mm-hmm.
did the first unconference because he was fed up with the standard conference formats. So he
Uh-huh.
said, we got to break silos, we got to connect people in different ways. He organized things.
Uh-huh.
So 200 years ago,
200 years ago. Perfect.
already
Mm-hmm.
he was talking about the standard conference format is not working. We need to reinvent. And
Wow.
here we are, you know,
Yeah.
telegraph, telephone, internet, right? And still talks, people sitting in a dark room listening to somebody. So,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, I think talks are great, but YouTube is for talks.
Right. Correct.
And
Uh-huh.
when we meet physically, it's quite expensive in terms of money, time, carbon, all of these costs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I believe the answer is not that we shouldn't travel, but that we should really be conscious of what is the
Mm-hmm.
impact that we're generating, and is the experience that we're traveling for really one which cannot be done online? Because there are
Yeah.
certain
Yeah.
experiences, but there's also lots of
Perfect.
things which can be done online.
Yeah.
So that's a key reality. Then there is this, we have the internet. So how do we use the internet to support the buildup
Mm-hmm.
of the towards the physical event? And
Yeah.
then how do we support it to continue the energy after the physical event?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
I call it afterglow. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
beautiful, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pre-glow, afterglow.
Yeah.
And then there is, of course, the reality that we live in of the polycrisis, meta crisis. And the internet, for me, it's not just communication, it's also the beginning of the opening to very new collaboration possibilities,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, how do we create events that fit into this reality, that make best use of the online and digital tools that we have to support the physical experience,
Yeah.
that create experiences which really generate the impact and that contribute towards building the world that we dream of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's
So
the
that's
please.
about that new age design of events. Exactly. Yeah, I think and I feel that we are on the same mission, on the same way, where we want to do our type of gatherings, events, and other stuff, because we are not doing only that. We are also doing another type of events. And in a few models, this is the way how we want to connect and work together with people. Means why we are meeting physically, is there the real impact? Is there the real effect of networking? Do really the people work together after that? Do they really collaborate? And how we can even help them to stay connected longer and more and better now. So this is very similar. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Perfect. Mm-hmm.
and then the other thing that came to mind that I wanted to mention is the other interesting something that's, I think, an interesting part of our reality is that we need much more hyper local action, and
Mm-hmm.
also hyper global interconnection.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
amazing thing about our times is that we do not need top down, centralized organizations to connect.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had a huge number of amazing calls. That's been the wonderful thing about the gathering. It's a great opportunity to reach out to amazing people. And I
Exactly.
talked with a
Mm.
guy, and he was like, yeah, during the pandemic, we set up calls with villagers in Nepal, with a village in Africa, and they
Mm.
were talking to each other directly, and their realities are similar, right? And
Yeah.
they have
Yeah. Yeah.
solutions. Each side has solutions that the other can benefit from, and they understand their
Mm.
realities. I'm not against centralized organizations, but they
Mm.
can speak directly in a way that, a bunch of UN agencies sitting between them will just not create that level of dialogue.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
be super local and super global, and we need both working better to exchange, to collaborate.
Mm.
So that's the vision behind the gathering, is to create an event which creates regenerative ecosystems of collaboration,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? One of my
Mm.
key motivations has been is I've been around this change maker space for 15 years or something, and here in Portugal for 7 years. And I've become really frustrated at how much people are struggling and feel unsupported,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Well, it
Mm.
doesn't really take so much to support each other, right? I mean, okay, we need money and resources, but before that, just a call, just not feeling alone, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
crazy
Yeah.
to me that so many people in this space feel alone, overwhelmed, given that there is so many other people, right? And
Mm.
we have the tools, and we just need to create the connections. So I really see, and it's interesting in a brain or in a processing system. What really creates the power is not the number of neurons, or not just the number of neurons, the number of interconnections and the kind of interconnections that you have,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
that's what my dream is a regenerative ecosystem of collaboration. This means to me an ecosystem of working together, of mutual support, of learning together,
Mm-hmm.
and learning throughout, right?
Mm.
So that's the dream, that's the vision of the gathering.
That's perfect. And also, I'm super happy that you connect me because what is perfect in your vision is that you are preparing that global impact means to do the gatherings not in just one place, but around, let's say, Europe, which is wonderful. And
Well, I think
that.
actually right now it will be around the world. I think I'm talking to quite a few people in the Americas, North and
Uh-huh,
South. I'm talking to a person in Morocco. I've talked to people in South
perfect.
Africa,
Mm-hmm,
Pakistan, of course, India. I think I'm really excited about that, to see,
mm-hmm.
yeah, how the different realities compare, what we can learn from each other.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's the beauty, right, of this internet age, right? That we can, at least online, connect as easily, right?
Yeah, in a minute. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, if it's okay, I would like to go through the DNA one by one and just briefly explain it, and then maybe you can ask me questions.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
I will also screen share since we're recording. So, uh, and the idea is to try and encode the gathering. We do have concrete patterns, and we can share step by step how we did it in Portugal, and of course upgrade it. But I also want to create a DNA which people can interpret in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
So the first key part is co-creation. For me, this idea of no spectators is really key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh, I went in 99. I thought I was old and already had this stuff figured out, but I was only 27. And now I realize how actually big an impact it was for me. But I went to Burning Man in 99. And actually, for me, by that time, I'd already been going to raves and electronic music parties for 9 years. So
Mm-hmm.
drugs, naked people, music was kind of familiar. So what really struck me, there's nothing surprising there. More naked people, but you get used to that very quickly. But what really stuck with me and stuck with me for life is the how amazing an experience, an event you can create if everybody's creativity is put to work. And
Mm-hmm.
this is
Yeah.
my fundamental belief. I really don't care how great of how genius of an experienced designer, person, or team you are, you will not create as rich an event as if you invite all the participants to
Mm-hmm.
co-create.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing is, people remember Burning Man for the huge art and all of this. But actually, what gets you when you're there, yes, the big things are beautiful, they're overwhelming, but it's the little moments. You're
Yeah.
walking
Mm-hmm.
somewhere, you're really thirsty, and somebody comes out and says, "Here, would you like a glass of lemon water?" And you're like, wow, thank you. This is so beautiful. And they give it to you with a smile. And it's
Mm-hmm.
those moments of experience. And you only can have that if everybody feels a co-creator and co-responsible for the space.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this is important for me for the event design, and it's key in how the gathering is done, but also looking at the what is the world that we want to create. This is the world that I dream of creating, that I want to contribute to creating, where everybody is contributing and sees themselves as a steward of our reality, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, I really think of the gathering as a microcosm of the world that we dream of creating.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that what we need is much more bottom-up collaboration, projects, people coming together to create things at the local, bi-regional, global level, bottom up. And the gathering is an opportunity to practice that. If we
Mm-hmm.
can't come together to co-create a 5, 7 day event, how can we co-create a new world?
Yeah.
So for these two reasons, that these two levels, this co-creation aspect, I think is very important. One is because it
Mm-hmm.
creates an amazing event, and two is because it's an opportunity to practice building this collaborative ecosystem that we dream of.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely agree. So this is for sure an rule or condition which once you are talking about it, I feel and I see that it can be very complex, because when you tell me this, like to an production guy doing an event, I see just a few dots which we can connect. But when you really put it into the DNA, like a first point, then it seems to me that we need to co-create and collaborate from the moment when we start to talk. So it is not just from the moment when we will think about if we will bring cafeteria or design, but it is from the moment what we really want to do together, how it works together. Is it giving all services we need during that moment? Is it really like that you think about that event? that every participant, every stakeholder is bringing something. So together it is giving also this whole doing by yourself. You organized gastronomy and refreshment and other stuff, and people were doing just the small stuff around.
So the way we organize it is
Mm-hmm.
the fundamental design structure is, of course, as a event organizer, you
Okay.
have
Mm-hmm.
a legal and a fundamental responsibility for the basics.
Mm-hmm.
Safety, clean drinking water, toilets. In
Yes. Yes.
our case,
Mm-hmm.
we're also organizing and facilitating food and such. You know,
Okay.
we're Europeans. We're not going to throw you in the middle of a desert with no water.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Also, because the goal is a little bit different, I see Burning Man, and every event comes out of the zeitgeist of its times. Burning Man comes out of the zeitgeist of late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
And it's got a big transformational effect. The point of the gathering is to be a transformational event for organizations.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
There is many great events that are transformational for the self, for the individual, but the goal is for it to be transformational event for the organizations.
This
So
is very important. This is very important. I
thank
remember right now. Mhm. Thanks.
So the gathering organizers organize the backbone, and then the basic structure is camps. A camp is put on
Mhm.
by an organization or a group of organizations coming together, which could be
Mhm.
a village, a company. My thinking is again, some things we borrow from Burning Man, not all. I would love to have companies come, put their banner. Of course, we want aligned companies, right? But it's experimentation. It's back and forth, right? If Heineken
Yeah.
decides to sponsor and they want to do a camp, maybe that's okay, right? Like
Mhm.
the goal is to really, my dream is to create an agora. I
Agora. Okay. Yeah. 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 I know.
have
Mhm.
I really love that image of the bar, the restaurant in Star Wars, the remote star where you have all of these things. I would love a
Mhm.
gathering. Of course, I think the basic and the core for being a participant is wanting to engage in the bigger dialogue.
Mhm.
Right? If you're just gonna
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
and stand and push your agenda, that's not exciting. But if you're willing to engage in dialogue, right, then it's amazing. I would love to have a
Mhm.
Christian youth for nature camp and a Muslim
Yeah.
camp next to it and some anarchists, right? So
Mhm. Mhm.
going back to so the organizers provide the basics and
Yeah. Yeah.
support the camps in becoming or in getting organized and
Mhm.
create the infrastructure for the camps to publish their offering.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
really, I think in terms of standard event design, the easiest way to think of it is a trade show. That's exactly what a trade show is. The
Yeah. 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 Yeah,
they
it fits perfect. Mhm.
they create spots, and each organization comes and produces in its spot and represents itself the way it wants.
Yeah. Mhm.
Cool. Okay, so continuing, the next point is weaving. So, as I said,
Mhm.
my dream is to really for the gathering to be a place where people from different movements come together.
Mhm.
I've had many conversations, and for me personally, I love the word regenerative, but it's difficult because it's a complex concept, and many people don't resonate with it or don't associate with it directly. This idea of systems change movements.
Mhm.
I maybe that's a label that's more universal. There's people doing great work in circular economy. in reinventing education for 100 years. I need to bring in those people in dialogue. Of course, people building villages, ESG, sustainability, power transition, right? There's so many different people working on different solutions.
Yes.
One of my favorite quotes is from Schmachtenberger. Do you know him? He's
Schmachtenberger.
Berger. He's a very interesting thinker. I'll send you some links. Anyways, in
Please.
one of his conversations, he said, the answer to all of the problems is all of the solutions. And it's funny because on the one hand, this is obvious. On the other hand, there is so many people in the world who are like, we need to, if we fix the money system, everything will change. If we fix the education system, or it's carbon, or this or that, right? And yes, it's all of those things.
Yes.
And on top of that, what I believe, it's all of those things woven together. So the gathering is trying to be an answer to too much working in silos. And I've talked to a lot of people, and everybody seems to agree that, yes, we need more interconnection between the different movements. For example, I spent quite a few years in the future of work, non-hierarchical organizations, etc. movement, which is amazing. But actually, after a while, I realized if you want to be a regenerative organization, you need all of those tools. And people realizing if you're trying to do a regenerative or a different kind of organization that's working on a different thing, you can't work with money or with teams with the exact same thing. You need the working with purpose and all of this. So we need more interconnection between the different movements. So that's what I mean by weaving, and this is the dream of the gathering. And then this is where it also gets fun and interesting. In each location, each local gathering will do a mapping of what are the systems change movements that we're going to weave together. What's relevant to us here? We started this exercise already, for example, for Pakistan, and there. The movements which are strong are important are quite different. That's what's strong and important in Portugal right now. So that's weaving. The next is action. I mean, all of these things we're navigating, figuring out how to do, but the dream is to really to create a gathering which catalyzes and brings people towards action. There is lots of great things for learning. There is lots of great things for partying and celebrating. But how do we create an event which enables us to launch collaborations, to create partnerships, which enables, I mean, people to join teams, to join communities? Right? I've been working remotely for 20 years. And the funny thing is that the result is it's made me appreciate that certain things are actually done much more easily in person. With the right structure, intention, right? And the right experience design. So this is something that I am really thinking about, and I think as the central org can provide the tools and the patterns to the camps, but also the before and the after. I think this is the value. We can build trust so much quicker. So something, for example, which we didn't manage to organize, but I think would be really cool to organize, is at the end or one of the last days of the gathering, to have a official partnership announcement ceremony where the people who are, had some things and we're launching this. And it's funny because you think about it, the politicians are always doing it, or the business people are there and people sit around and sign things. But then there's value to it, right? It creates, imagine if there's 100 people or 500 and they're standing there and you go out at the front and you and I went and yes, Vladimir commits to doing this. There is a social energy giving to that,
Mm.
right? So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
how can we use that power of being
Mm.
together and seeing those partnerships? And then it creates visibility because some people say, oh, I can support you in this or in that, or keep me in the thing. So yeah, I think there's many interesting and fun things that we can do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Action. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm.
And then the yin yang, because it's not just about work, is celebration. And this is also, I think, a interesting opportunity to to find ways where we can connect and build the trust and connect as human beings in more rich ways. A lot of this standard conference or even art opening or whatever is the human connection is we come together and we get drunk. The bar is the place. And I have nothing against getting drunk once in a while, but if it's the only way that we have,
Mm-hmm.
it's just not rich,
Yeah.
right? We can do yoga together. We can go for a walk. We can meditate, right? There's so many other ways that we now have that people participate in
For
that
sure.
are really beautiful and also create the deep human connection without the need to rely on just alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
But the truth is that the part of celebration is very important. Yeah,
yes.
because like me, I'm working already 8 years for Institute of Mental Health, and also I am on that movement already 8 years to not drink alcohol at all. So we change it for ritual cacao and different stuff, but still we feel that importance of sitting together and celebrate that something happened. Yeah? So it's really good that that celebration point is there because it's important also as probably you know from Dragon Dreaming. I really like this teamwork method, which is saying that that part of celebration is also a part of reflection. Yeah, because during that celebration, I can tell you that I was not so satisfied, and so because that portal is open. So for sure, it's very important. Yeah.
And it's critical for ecosystem building and for health because it tends to happen if you're in action, there's always more stuff to do. You're never done. There's
Exactly.
always more
Exactly.
to do. And if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
stop and take a break and say, like, wow, there's so much more and I'm not finished and this, but wow, we got a lot done. And we're
Yeah.
still here,
Yeah.
and we're together, and our relationship is working, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're still
Mm-hmm.
alive, right? And if we don't feel gratitude of being together, being in a beautiful space in nature, then we're not doing justice to life, right? And
Yeah.
the work will never be finished. There'll always be more to do. So it's really important to take that
Stop.
step as well.
Yeah. 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 Perfect. Uh-huh.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, then there is nature. So the
Mm-hmm.
gathering is in nature.
Mm-hmm.
For me, there's multiple levels to this. Again, on one
Mm-hmm.
level is if we're talking about building a new world, a key part of that is rebuilding our relationship to nature, creating a new, healthier, both individually and as a society, creating a healthier, and especially as a society and as a global species, creating a healthy connection to nature, right? It's funny and paradoxical to me that Climate Week, the biggest climate-oriented conference in the world, happens in New, one of the most urban environments in the world,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so there's that whole component that bringing in nature as a participant in our conversation and our things, it creates a different, it's important, right? That nature be part of this. There is all of the work around biophilia that we just feel differently in nature.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
I
that,
really like that. I really like that word, biophilia, right now. It's quite catchy, attractive, and I think that it will be fulfilled soon. Mm.
yeah, it's biophilia, biophilic design. And now there is 20-25 years of solid scientific research, which show,
Hmm.
and that we're more peaceful and calm in nature. I would have kind of assumed that. But what was not obvious to me is they did research and we're more creative in nature.
Hmm. Hmm.
Interesting.
Hmm.
And I'm sure there's many other things. And
Hmm.
in addition to all of that, is in terms of experience design and
Hmm.
the experience, nature is much more open in the sense we can go sit over there under a tree, have a conversation. If I'm in a building, right, and I invite you to go sit in a corridor somewhere, it's not so nice,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Go for
yeah.
a little walk. The space is much more malleable.
Yeah.
And that
Hmm.
creates much more opportunity for connection, for spontaneous conversations, for going for a little walk together. The
Hmm.
space is richer for this kind of
Hmm.
multi-connection, co-creation, and then you want to do a little thing, you can do it over there. You don't need a whole room, you don't need my permission, you just set up a little stand by the thing. It's a very different and more flexible, and because of that, when you add the co-creation and everybody doing something, a much richer environment, I believe.
Yeah. Hmm.
uh And then the last one, this is the one that we are working on the most, I guess. We started with this idea. We started with the name, the Gathering of Tribes is the first experiment. And I do believe that building new tribes is important in the new world, but it's too complicated and the world is potentially so. I see it as, and this is where, as we started with the gathering being transformational for organizations, and an organization is composed of people. So when people feel more strongly connected with an organization, whether that be a village, a not-for-profit, a for-profit, or whatever, and it becomes a part of their identity, a part of their belonging, that strengthens the organization and strengthens the people. So I really see this lack of a sense of meaningful belonging is a
Hmm.
disease of our times, right? And
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
your belonging now, right? The family is being reduced to maybe two people, oftentimes one parent and a child. So many people are single, or the nation state, which is kind of, it's there, but it's very big, right?
Hmm.
For me, a tribe, one way I think of it is as a human unit, which is big enough that it's bigger than you. It will continue no matter what you do, but small enough that you can feel your sense of contribution.
Nice. Hmm. Perfect. Hmm.
Right?
Nicely said. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And most of us don't have that, right? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
Is your country, your football team, your city, it's too big. So I think we need to work on that and create, but also the sense of belonging to the movement, to each other, to the earth. So
Mm.
that is
Mm.
that is the
That.
DNA. And then the question is of how do we create a experience design that expresses and touches on all of these.
Mm. Perfect. Thanks for introduction through your expressions or through your voice or your thinking, because it is nicely connecting and helping to get the full scale and the full format. Yeah, it is giving me just a little bit more answers to say yes. Let's try to identify what we can do together and how we can help to the society and to our activities to grow or scale up. No, and I can show you a little bit what I was thinking about from our call in the start of this week, because we are not doing only TED. We are also, as I said, a different format of events. But from last year, we are starting to do a design thinking studio for helping recultivate and regenerate different locations for developers and for bigger companies, let's say, or tribes of people who want to not just build, but make some culture inside of that development. Yeah. That was also that question, but I have to say I do not have nothing concrete right now about your capacity to contribute and to help us, because we are quite locked here in Czechia yet, because okay, we are in the middle of the Europe, but still we are on the board from east to west, let's say, which is super nice, because especially for people like me, it is perfect playground, because we can really set the basics right now and help to grow. No, and together with what I'm talking about, that we have that ability to work for companies or for developers where we can do some real impact, because we can help to design, let's say, community centers. We can help to design some hospitality concepts which are working on contribution, collaboration, and cooperation of people who are living there. During last year, we cultivate and prepare one location near to Prague, as I send you that link, also that lake, that Jezero area. And I was wondering already before our call, what of some interesting format of small gathering we can do there. And also, like, let's say that I am in that tribe of people who are doing in Czechia all of these self-discovery activities, like healing festivals, sound healings, cacao drinking circles, and so, which has, of course, quite huge community right now. But for that mainstream people, it is too much esoteric, spiritual, and so. So for me, that regenerative format is bringing something where people can join together, because now they understand it's about economy, it's about community, it's about tribe, as you say very nicely right now. So now it is for also other people, like, oh, okay, why not to sit near to the fire and talk? Easy. And that's exactly what we are splitting right now in that lake area. And especially after our talk, I start to visualize what type of event we can do together. For example, already this year, in the end of summer, in these smaller, let's say smaller formats. Still, it is big because the area is 13 hectares. So it is not small. And it has already set up that hospitality base, because there are food containers. There is already 10 tiny houses. There are 2 fireplaces. There will be 2 big tents to meet up. And there is especially this nature. Yeah, because there is that lake and so. So like we have super nice base camp. and still I will be giving up this role on March, but still I am the responsible person for the whole concept of program of this area. So it is really perfectly timed or prepared in time right now to talk about what exactly is that sustainable format, which will give also that I call it energy in means also of some profit, money and other stuff. What can give us the energy if we will visualize this lake 20 kilometers from capital city, Prague, which is the most uniqueness for the lake area, that it is so near to the capital city, but it is already in the nature. Yeah, that's why I raised up this how much? Oh, it doesn't matter. 2 million euro to build up this area. Yeah, because it is in the nature, but it is really 20 minutes from the city center. So yeah, so we have this uniqueness, and right now I'm wondering about how to do it because I saw that you are preparing the Gathering Global 2027.
Six.
Sorry, six, and now it's 2025. So I'm thinking about how to test it.
Look, the Gathering Global, the intention of the Gathering Global is to be a service organization for the local organizations.
Perfect.
If you want to do a gathering in if you want to do a gathering in 2025, we will certainly support you, right? So the image is that the Gathering Global holds the brand. We have the patterns.
Hmm, hmm.
And actually and then that we have the Gathering Global will organize a nest, which is an incubator to create
Perfect.
conversation amongst the different organizations. I think in your case, in our case, we needed more of a runway because we're not professional or event organizers and we didn't have land. You're a professional organizer and you have
Mm,
land. So
exactly. Hmm.
that that means that you have much more. It's much more realistic for you to just turn around and go boom. I think because the gathering is co-created, the key thing is to find the organizations which could be
But
for-profit,
we will participate. Yeah, yeah.
who would be interested in participating in creating a camp.
And that's back to that first my visualization, and that's our talk and potential our cooperation because, and this is something what I think that will be very interesting for you. We are really on the first step of regenerative cultures here in Czechia. Yeah. So, like, we have a really nice nest and network of non-government organizations. They do really good stuff in education. They do really good stuff in social aspects, and so and so. But
So, yes.
right now, and I'll be sorry a little bit because I have to change a few stuff, but we can continue. I will go with the train to Prague, and unfortunately, I'm meeting with my colleague who is running the biggest organization, collecting together and companies who want to be ESG, SDG, and so and so. They have like 200 business companies inside, like IKEA and others, and he is doing all policy networking and lobbying for them in non-government. But also on his second half, he is an Psytrance festival organizer. Yeah. And we are looking for that concept which the gathering can be to do together, to bring that regenerative together. But that part I want to, it's just for opening how the network and the connections can work. But what I'm start to mean is that Prague is, or Czechia is very, has a very good reputation for international people, and they really like to meet here. So I will be super happy to
I mean,
prepare some base camp, like the gathering in Prague is that place where also international organizations can meet. Mhm.
amazing. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we will spread it through the network. I'm sure people from Poland, people from Germany will come
Yes, yeah, yeah.
as well. So, uh, look,
Yeah.
I think
Mhm.
I am here to serve. We have the patterns, how we did it, and the learnings of the 2 years in Portugal. How many people would you think on that land?
Uh, I think it is for 150.
Oh,
It can grow a lot because around these 13 acres, we that owner has different other places also, and he says that okay, if you will have something bigger and it will have a good production, we can put tents around also. So
I
it
mean,
can be.
on 13 hectares, you could fit 1,000 people easily.
Yeah, but not in this design. And in the middle of these 13 hectares is 4 hectares lake. Yeah, so it is big, but and it has already some design like how small houses and so and so.
Brilliant.
So especially it is prepared like a place for meeting in companies for
I
80, 100 people. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I think with 150, I mean, our first one was 250, and that wasn't big, I think, with camping and stuff. But look, you guys are much more do you want to
I'm
like
sorry,
take minutes until you get on the train or
yeah, just 1 minute, yeah. Thank you that you are here to help us to grow. And I
look,
have to wonder about how
think
to prepare the first steps. Hmm.
Yeah. So I think the way I would think about it, if it's 150 people, then you have 5, 10 organizations, each one brings 10, 20 people, and that's it. Then what I think would make sense is look at 2025 as the first one and a test,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
build up all together in 2026 to really go bigger.
Yeah, yeah. And how big was your Portugal last time?
500 people,
Hmm.
500. But we
Hmm.
could have, we could have, I think the next one will be bigger. And look, let's have the next call in the office and we can go through the practicalities. I think, let's be honest, between you and me, there is this expression of what the father, the son teaching the father how to make children, right? I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
going to do that. You are much more of a professional event designer.
Mm.
And you have the land. We are here. We're going to do one thing knowing about this. We're going to do a upgrade on the brand. So we're going to take a chunk of we made some money. I mean, the event just makes money on ticket sales, right? This is how we did it. We didn't get any sponsors.
Okay,
So yeah, let's do it. We will fully support you. There is an interesting European network.
perfect.
People will come from around Europe. Let's have the next call talking practicalities and have a great meeting with your friend and yeah, bring him on board. It'll be great.
Super, perfect. Then, do we want to find the suitable date right now when we are online for next meeting? I think.
let's